Welcome back to Suki Politics. We're talking about the remaking of a nation. We're talking to Noynoy Aquino campaign volunteers. We go now to ABS-CBN Naga, where another Aquino campaign volunteer is standing by. Her name is Dr. Ofelia Samarsi. Ma'am, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Dr. C, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us. Now let's begin with, you wrote that, you had a newspaper article where you wrote about your experience in the campaign. What was interesting was the last paragraph where you talked about having a yellow baby born with Noynoy Aquino winning the election, but also a blue baby. Can you tell us about that experience? Because when you talked about blue baby, you meant Mar Rojas, of course.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that, how you felt about that?
We worked very hard for both Noynoy and Mar, and it really came as a surprise to us. We were actually caught unaware that Mar would actually have those numbers at the end of the campaign. And because of this, the volunteers, having been confident of the win of Noynoy at the time, I think at 19% already, we felt that we have to help Mar more than Noynoy at the end of the campaign. And so when the election actually was finished and it was quite evident that Mar was not having that numbers that was depicted actually in the pre-election polls, we felt that we felt that blue for is really something like not good as a color. And because Noynoy was representing yellow, and in fact my husband was telling me that don't you think that it's not very good that you should call it like a stillborn baby, blue baby boy? But we still prayed so hard. All our volunteers really prayed. In fact, up to the last minute before it was announced that Binay has finally won, we were still praying so hard for Mar to really win.
Okay. Well, ma'am, syempre po, the campaign is over. And you're a doctor, no, by profession. I suppose, syempre, babalik po kayo sa private life nyo, to your practice as a doctor. But are you thinking about how you will maintain your involvement in government?
Actually, our volunteers up to now are still very, very much active. We are still meeting together. We're preparing actually for our handog sa pasasalamat activity. We have a concert with Juana Chains and the other Pinoy Power volunteers from Manila. And we have invited 4,000 to 6,000 of our supporters in Bicol in order to celebrate. We feel that since the people has given us the big mandate and victory for Noynoy Aquino, we owe it to the people and we want to give it back to them. And then after that, we will not leave Noynoy in the air. We'll help him, and then we will continue fighting for what we have fought for, what we have worked so hard in the last 9 months of campaign. So Noynoy can actually expect from all the volunteers that we will rally behind him, even in our private capacity as private individuals.
Okay. Well, I have to ask this also, ma'am, because we talked about the yellow baby and the blue baby, the stillborn baby. So, natalo po si Mar Rojas. You have Jojo Binay as vice president. Is your support for Noynoy Aquino the same as? Will that be there for Jojo Binay?
Of course, our loyalty and our support for Noynoy is primordial and very, very strong. But since it was Jojo Binay who won, we will have to support him also as vice president. But we will have to be also as vigilant as we are also actually going happy to stand by Noynoy, so we'll have to watch out for all the moves of Jojo Binay. But we will appreciate so much if the two of them will have each other for our country and for the future of our children.
Ma'am, have you thought about, kayo po as a volunteer and all the other volunteers in Bicol, have you thought about what it is that we need to change in ourselves as a people so that we do not go back to politics as usual?
Napakahalaga na dapat maintindihan natin mga Pilipino ang napakagandang legacy natin sa buong mundo. The people power itself, the spirit of volunteerism. Sana gawin natin yon hindi lang during the campaign, ngayong nakaraang eleksyon, gawin natin yon araw-araw at gawin natin yon na parang part of our daily life. I believe in my heart when I saw all the volunteers who helped Noynoy that there's a very good optimism that we should actually look forward to in our country. Only if we become united, become dedicated, and we become passionate about our love for our country. Marami tayong magagawa. Sundin po natin yung 12 little things na ina-advocate ni Attorney Lacson. Those are simple things na napaka-importante, yes. Kung iisa-isahin natin yung 12 na yon, that's enough, I think, for us to contribute to the country, for us to change. Sabi nga ni JFK, di ba, this was said 49 years ago, let's not ask what our country can do for us. So in short, let's not ask what Noynoy can do for us, but let's actually ask ourselves what we can do for our country. Ang dami nating magagawa, and the most important that we can do for our country is really gawin natin sa sarili natin na pang-araw-araw nating kabuhayan. Kahit hindi na tayo nangangampanya, make it a daily activity for all of us.
Alright, maraming salamat po, Dr. Ofelia Summers, si Noynoy Aquino campaign volunteer who joined us live from ABS-CBN Naga. Thank you very much, ma'am. I appreciate it. We're talking about remaking of a nation, and we're talking to the campaign volunteers of Senator Noynoy Aquino. We go now to Cagayan de Oro City. In our ABS-CBN studios, standing by Roel La Victoria, one of the Aquino campaign volunteers. Hi, Roel. Thank you for joining us.
From Cagayan. I believe I am a member of the Youth for Cory and Doy. I was still a student at the time, and then 26 years we disengaged ourselves in government affairs, and that was one of the mistakes of 1986. And it took sometimes medyo painful pa because it took the death of the late President Cory for us to reawaken. So when President Cory died, our group, formerly the Youth for Cory and Doy, organized again, and then we decided that we have to actively participate in this clamor for change. And so be it, when Noynoy decided, of course we were one of those group, the Young Cagayanons for Democracy, who decided to ask Noynoy to accept the challenge to run for president because we believe he is the only person who is well equipped with all the integrity who can manage to run this government.
Paano ba to, Roel? You just go back to private life, right? After this?
Yes, actually, I used to serve for government then, but then I went out, and then I'm now in private business. Then when the death of when this campaign started, when we were the one of those organizations who asked Noynoy to run, so we actively campaign, and believe it or not, again, the support of the people of Cagayanons, the Cagayans, is very spontaneous. People were giving so much resources. On my part, when at that time I was just giving my own time and my own body for the campaign of Cory. This time, it's not only my time and my body, but of course the little resources that I have, because I believe that it is my responsibility as a Filipino to work for this. And since I have this kind of thing, So I have to give it also because we believe this is my duty as a Filipino.
Okay. Pero syempre, tapos na ang kampanya. Tomorrow, he's going to be proclaimed by Congress. Are you going to still engage the government? You won't just leave government to government. You are going to be there.
Yes, of course. As what I told you earlier, Pia, that it has not commit again the mistake of 1986. When after we installed the late President Cory in the government, in the service, we just leave. We let just the government do their thing and let the people do their own share. But practically, the late President Cory was abandoned by the people whom supported her candidacy. This time, let us not commit. Let us rally behind the organization because we believe that it was the volunteers group that propelled the victory of Noynoy. So that alone, that organization throughout the Philippines should be solidified, should be institutionalized to be a part of the partnership as far as the government affairs is concerned. Let it be as a watchdog or a monitoring, to be an active participant because this time, nobody would be blamed because we alone, the job of being a volunteer should not stop from the campaign. This should be continued. In fact, Ria, the job has just started. Let us continue the kind of enthusiasm that we give during the campaign by supporting and rally behind the administration of Noynoy.
Okay. And you're saying, Roel, that if you do that, if all the volunteers in Cagayan de Oro do that, then we will not go back to the politics as usual. I mean, we will be able to move forward. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly, because I know this is a process, and let it be to move on. Especially here in Cagayan de Oro, we're trying to mobilize the volunteers because we believe these are the very people that we have to manage. These are the very people whose idealism is still very much high, that to be a part and active participant in running this government, not by being part directly to the government, but as a watchdog to monitor, and we have to harness the consultation, the dialogue, as far as the volunteers or as far as the people is concerned, para naman merong equal representation yung mga clamors, yung mga reklamo, ng mga sentimento ng mga taga Mindanao.
All right. The final word from you, Roel.
Well, of course, as a people of from Mindanao, one way to effect also change is especially that we have to support this peace process. We have to be ready that in a peace negotiation, there will always be some sacrifices because there will be concession that we have to give because there will be no successful negotiation without giving in. So people should open their mind on this aspect so that there will be a lasting peace for Mindanao. And of course, we are also rallying, asking the people, especially the volunteers, not to stop in the campaign. Let us join our hands and rally behind the administration of President Noynoy. And one thing also, Pia, I would like also to bring about that in making the cabinet and making the government in appointing those officials that will work with Noynoy, the kind of integrity that Noynoy has, it should transcend to those people who will be working directly with them. They should emulate the kind of integrity that Senator Noynoy has.
Okay, well said. Thank you very much. Ruel Victoria joined us from ABS-CBN Cagayan de Oro. Maraming salamat, Ruel. Thank you for joining us. Let's move now to
so
the
much,
Visayas. Millie Kilayko, another one of the Noynoy Akil campaign volunteers, joins us on the line. Hi, Millie. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for talking to me.
Yeah, Millie, can you tell us first a little bit of the background? Why did you get involved in the campaign?
Well, just like Roel, Pia, my life as a volunteer began when Cory Aquino ran. I came face to face with a barrel of a gun to protect Cory Aquino's vote in northern Negros Occidental. But this time, as a volunteer for Noynoy Aquino, it was really a convergence of many forces in Negros Occidental that brought us together. We had 18 volunteer organizations under one umbrella in Negros Occidental. We had a headquarters, which we call the Heroes Headquarters, because we believe that every person who was willing to stand up and be open to change and stand for Noynoy was a person who was a hero. And in these headquarters and operating for Noynoy Aquino, we saw how every every person, in whatever way we could, in big ways and small ways, could bring about change and bring about and propel a person to presidency.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is one of the big group of volunteers.
Well, Millie, of course, the campaign's over. Tomorrow, Noynoy Aquino will be proclaimed president. How exactly do you see things, no? Because if we don't want to go back to the politics as usual, no? What is it that we need to change in ourselves as a people?
Well, first of all, it begins with us. As Mother Teresa has said, if everyone sweeps his own doorsteps, we can make the world clean. And that's where we believe it should be done. During the campaign, we've seen people who've come to our headquarters and, turn over 5 peso change, which was overlooked when they bought something from us. And they'd always come and say, the change begins with me. And I think it all starts with us. So for myself, I think that I have to be very conscious in every way that I can to make sure that I follow everything as the same ideals that Noynoy represents in my own life, in my own business, and in my own surroundings. And secondly, all of us volunteers have talked after the campaign, after Noynoy has shown the lead, that we know that we should not stop in any time. If Noynoy has to report to the people within the first 100 days, we as a volunteer group should be able to accomplish also within the first 100 days. If Noynoy has to report to the nation, every state of the nation rest every year, we do have to report to ourselves and to the rest of the volunteers also what we would have accomplished. So at the end of the 6 years, we would also have done our share